Test. Okay. Sorta, maybe we'll start here. What's going on, everyone? It is Evo Gaming, and it is Force Fridays. Hopefully everybody's having a good week. Everybody's had a solid week. I actually got the luxury of having the day off today. Doesn't happen often. So I got a little bit of time to just sit down and relax, enjoy everything today. But essentially, what we're getting into today is the most recent episode of the Bad Batch breakdown. We're going to break down everything. So we're going to be going kind of quick through it, but if you've not watched it yet, definitely don't recommend you sticking around because there are going to be spoilers. So I will advise you, this is a spoiler warning. This is your spoiler warning. This is the only one I'm going to give. I don't care if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, don't want to be spoiled or don't want to run into any issues, I do not recommend you stay. So, first things first. The clones right off the rip didn't even seem like they sounded like they wanted to be mercenaries, I should say. Very first thing right off the rip is they're being sent to a droid facility. A droid facility to capture dysfunctional droids that are essentially just falling apart. They're decommissioning them. And they're there to capture, like, the main control droid's head, if we're gonna put it into simple terms. And then while they're there trying to get this droid head, they run into two characters, which I'm actually impressed that they brought in. Trace and Rafa Martez, which, if you're familiar with the Clone Wars Season 7, Ahsoka ran into these guys after she had left the Jedi Order. Essentially, her motorbike had broke down, and she ran into these two characters. Had some issues, but essentially they became friends. I'm kind of curious as to why they're in this, and who are they working for? Are they working for Ahsoka? I mean, that's my only hope. So, are they going to bring Ahsoka into the show? Are they going to have Ahsoka and Rex meet up? I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm kind of curious. Tech droids. So, essentially what a tech droid is if we all know from A Phantom Menace, droids were all controlled by a control ship, which hovered above the planet to make sure that all the droids operated like they're supposed to. Essentially, they switched everything over to these control droids, which commanded and operated all these droids, battle droids, and all they had to do was simply wake the dang thing up, and all the droids came alive and defended them, which kind of cool in a way, in my opinion. I think they're really cool. So essentially, you're watching, and they just take control of this one intelligence. I can't even remember what the actual terminology is, and it pisses me off that I can't remember that. Next thing is Wrecker. Wrecker is slowly deteriorating, and we're seeing it more and more often. And it's not his fault. And it's unfortunate because everybody can tell you they're all starting to love Wrecker. Wrecker is making a name for himself. He's creating a lifestyle for Omega, and he wants to be just like Hunter. If you pay attention, she does everything that he does, watches his every move. She wants to do everything that she can to help. But Wrecker is deteriorating. You can see that his inhibitor chip is starting to mess with his brain, mess with his head, and it kills me. Because you hear Crosshair talking in the background as he's repeating, "Good soldiers follow orders, good soldiers follow orders." And we all know that the inhibitor chip is starting to kick in. And we saw the same thing with Fives, we saw the same thing with Crosshair, once it started to take control of everything. And it's to me, it seems like it's only a matter of time before it starts to wear down on the rest of them. But how is it going to wear down? Is tech going to figure out what the hell this thing is, so that way they can figure out whether or not their inhibitor chips are going to break them down or turn them into these mindless monsters, essentially droids? So I'm very interested to see how that's going to turn out. I'm more so concerned because I really want this show to go on, but something has to happen to these guys, because you don't see them in any of the movies, you don't see them in shows. But I also think that they're just not going to kill off Omega, because why would they bring a character like her in just to kill her off in the long run? What would be the sole purpose of bringing this brand new character that everybody loves, everybody's wondering about, just to kill her off? So what is Dave Filoni, what are your thoughts here? What are you planning on doing? What is going to be your overall mindset on everything going on with Omega and the rest of the Bad Batch? The last thing, so they run into Trace and Rafa. At the very end of this episode, Rafa and Trace are talking to somebody, and they say he. Who's he? First thing I thought was Ahsoka. They're talking to Ahsoka. She met with them to essentially try and stop the Empire from becoming a problem. They say he. Because we all know Ahsoka's not a he. So what are their intentions? Spoilers. What's up, dude face? I gave my spoiler warning at the beginning. Kidding. Anyways, they're talking to somebody at the very end, and you don't really know who it is. So they don't know who it is. I don't know who it is. I couldn't tell you. Is it Maul? It's not Ahsoka, because I say he unless somebody's trying to cover something up here. So what are the intentions here? Who are they working for? Who's Rafa and Trace working for? I just hope that it's for good and not for bad. But hopefully Hunter did the right thing by giving her the information data on the little stick thing that he hands off to her. And hopefully they don't run into grief whenever they get back. Just kind of looking over a few things here. Wrecker's gonna be the first one to go, and they do this thing every single time. I am getting tired of, oh, our ship crash lands on a planet, refuel, fight a bad guy, leave. It's just like The Mandalorian. I love the show, don't get me wrong, but it's the same story over and over and over and over and over, and it tends to get old. But Wrecker is absolutely going to be the first one to take off. You can see it when he's trying to fight off the inhibitor chip. He needs to tell somebody that it's affecting him, but at the same time, how can they tell that it's affecting him? How do they know whether it's good or bad? So I'm not really sure. Long story short, we're gonna keep the Force Fridays kind of short this Friday. These are all Dark Knight comic lines. Publisher of what? Dark Dark Horse. Dark Empire. Okay, so Dark Horse was actually the publisher for the Dark Empire comics. They do the Mandalorian comic series, yeah. So they were actually licensed back to Marvel in 2015. Yeah, now I understand. Why didn't I know that? Why am I just finding out about this? Interesting. That's crazy that you knew that. Bring the Star Wars knowledge in here, Jake. Bring the Star Wars knowledge. Hopefully you're having a fantastic Friday. Why did I know that? You know, I don't have an answer for that. I apologize. I'm mad that I didn't know the answer to that. And I know anything and everything Star Wars. Hello, I had one conversation with a guy at a comic shop like 2 weeks back. Sorry to interrupt. No, you're no interruption at all. Yes. Responding to a message here. Are you mean Wrecker? So, no, you're not interrupting at all. Like I said, this is usually only a half an hour whenever I'm doing breakdowns. So just kind of to keep things short, Wrecker's inhibitor chip is starting to activate, and we're starting to see it. Wrecker's will easily become one of my favorite characters other than Omega. You won't top Ahsoka, you won't top Rex. I don't care what anybody says. Ahsoka is my favorite character other than Anakin. And as far as like new characters, because Darth Vader growing up was my ultimate favorite character, and watching Anakin become Darth Vader was probably the best thing that I've ever seen. And no matter how much hate the prequels get, I think that they did a really good job describing the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker, essentially. Because he still comes back, you know what I mean? He still comes back. Anyways, end rant. Wrecker's inhibitor chip is starting to take over. Why would you kill off one of the best characters right off the rip? And what's going to happen to Omega? You wouldn't bring a big name character like that everybody's starting to love, just to kill her off. Right, Poe? Right? So I'm very interested to see how they take it, what's going to happen, and what the next struggle is going to be. Are they going to run into issues with Sid because they handed off the information from the command droid? Are they going to run into Rex? They Walking Deaded them, and I think they call that now LOL. They just look at the fan base and they say, LOL, I don't care. We're gonna make money off of this regardless. Here you go. Here is my story. Poof. Poof. I don't know. I think... Sorry, I'm playing and trying. It's been a while since I've seen you in here, Jake. It definitely has been a while since I've seen you in here. It's good to see your face again. The intro character, make you love them, and then BAM! Dead. I don't know. You too, man. You too. It just makes you wonder more and more what's going to happen. How are they going to play this off? And the more that I notice, like with episodes from like The Mandalorian and Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars The Clone Wars, they like throw these characters in out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, so how is this character going to end up in another show? Or because we all know we got the Book of Boba Fett coming in December, which doesn't make sense to me because we're getting 8 episodes of the Bad Batch right off the rip, and then they're gonna take a break, and then they're gonna make another 8 episodes that starts in August, and it's almost like they're trying to gap it out to kind of lead into the Book of Boba, and then the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which is going to blow up over social media for a couple weeks. It's going to bring all the fan base back in. That's my hopes. That's my hopes. But it appears that my because honestly, how can you get tired of voices like this?
Hello there.
Or this?
Good job.
I mean, you can't. So, I don't know. I think that's it for today. I think we're going to end tonight's rant. So everybody who stopped in this evening, thank you for coming and listening to me give a sweet ass breakdown on the Bad Batch, because it's starting to pick up again. The intensity of each episode is starting to pick up, and they're bringing new faces in. So until next week.